A massive crater in the middle of an African game farm, stretching hundreds of feet wide. At its center lies what appears to be nothing more than a small puddle of water. But beneath that unassuming surface hides the deepest freshwater cave in the world, Bushman's Hole. It's a place where experienced divers dream of pushing their limits, but also where tragedy strikes without warning. This is where our story begins, with a young man who vanished into the abyss on Christmas Day in 1994. Hey friends, you're in Dreamcatcher Stories, your cozy corner for stories that got lost along the way. Hit me up in the comments and tell me how this one hits you. Now, let's get sneaky and peek behind the curtain. The year was 1994, and Bushman's Hole had already earned its reputation as both a marvel and a menace. Located on a privately owned farm in South Africa, it wasn't just any dive spot. It was a challenge for adrenaline junkies, thrill seekers, and those brave enough to face the unknown. For Dion Dreyer, a 20-year-old adrenaline enthusiast from South Africa, the allure was irresistible. By the time he reached his late teens, Dion had already built motorcycles, raced cars, and dabbled in extreme sports. But his true passion lay in exploring underwater caves, logging nearly 200 dives before being invited by a group of divers to explore Bushman's Hole over the holiday break. On paper, the plan seemed straightforward. Descend to about 492 feet, roughly halfway down the cave, and return safely. The team consisted of seasoned divers, all confident in their abilities. As they prepared for the dive, excitement buzzed through the air. They checked their gear meticulously, ensuring everything was in perfect working order. Little did they know, the events of that day would haunt them forever. The descent went smoothly at first. The water was eerily calm, almost inviting, as if concealing the danger lurking below. About halfway through the ascent, however, things took a turn. One diver glanced back to check on Dion, giving him the universal OK hand signal. Dion responded in kind, signaling that all was well. His flashlight illuminated the murky depths around him, casting eerie shadows against the rocky walls of the cave. But moments later, when the same diver turned again to look for Dion, he was gone. Panic set in immediately. The diver signaled the others above him, halting the group mid-ascent. He swam as fast as he could toward the last known location of Dion, only to find his flashlight still attached to his gear, wavering faintly as it sank deeper into the darkness. Realizing the futility of attempting a rescue at such depths, the diver reluctantly returned to the surface, heartbroken and defeated. Dion Dreyer had disappeared into Bushman's Hole, leaving behind no trace except his helmet, which authorities later recovered using a robot. For Dion's parents, the pain of losing their son was compounded by the fact that they never received closure. Without a body to bury, they erected a plaque near the entrance of Bushman's Hole to commemorate his life. Years passed, and the memory of Dion faded into legend among local divers. Every so often, someone would mention seeing something unusual during a dive, but nothing concrete ever surfaced until 10 years later. In 2004, Dave Shaw, a 50-year-old veteran cave diver, embarked on a daring expedition to reach the bottom of Bushman's Hole. Reaching the 800-foot mark, Shaw became only the third person in history to achieve such a feat. Upon touching down on the sloping floor of the cave, he detached from his reel, switched on his flashlight, and began scanning the surroundings. About 50 feet away, he spotted something chilling, a human body lying motionless on its back, arms stretched out toward the surface. Shaw approached cautiously and instantly recognized the remains as belonging to Dion Dreyer. Shaw examined the body carefully, assessing whether it could be retrieved. Determined to bring closure to Dion's family, Shaw devised a meticulous plan to recover the remains. 10 days after submerging himself into the abyss, Shaw entered the water once again, this time equipped with a camera mounted on his helmet to document the operation. Dion's parents arrived intentionally late, standing quietly at the edge of the water, hoping not to add pressure to Shaw's mission. Descending rapidly, Shaw reached the bottom faster than expected. Locating Dion's body, he worked quickly, securing the remains inside a body bag. However, as he ascended, something went terribly wrong. Suffering from nitrogen narcosis, a condition caused by breathing compressed gases at depth, Shaw grew disoriented. Despite his best efforts to make it back to safety, his movements slowed dramatically. His breathing became labored, then silent. Moments later, Dave Shaw was dead. When the recovery team arrived to retrieve their equipment, they sang Amazing Grace in memoriam for the fallen diver. As they began pulling up the lines, bubbles rose from the depths, drawing their attention. To their astonishment, they realized the bubbles belonged to Shaw's body and miraculously, Dion's as well. Somehow, Shaw had managed to free Dion before succumbing to his fate. When the line was pulled, both bodies floated to the surface, fulfilling Shaw's promise to bring Dion home. Back at the morgue, investigators discovered Shaw's camera intact. Reviewing the footage frame by frame revealed the harrowing final moments of his journey. Though Shaw ultimately perished, his sacrifice ensured that Dion's family finally received the closure they had waited a decade for. This tragic tale raises questions that linger long after the story ends. What drives individuals like Dion and Dave to pursue such perilous adventures? Is it bravery, recklessness, or perhaps an insatiable curiosity about the unknown? And most importantly, how do we honor their memories while learning from their mistakes? And there we go. Another memory back from the dark. Don't go too far, I've got more mysteries itching to be told. What do you think happened down there in Bushman's Hole? Let me know in the comments below. Your thoughts matter, and they shape the stories I share next. So go ahead, type it out, and hit send. I'll see you there.